On this video, I'm going to go through the settings tab of PrintExp and show you what some of the settings mean, what they do, and hopefully you have a lot of these options. As I've explained in many of these videos, some versions of PrintExp, Hosonsoft, or DTF Station Pilot will have different functions, different features. It really just depends on the firmware of your printer and the particular version of the software that yours runs on. Ultimately, those things are paired variables, meaning you couldn't use a newer version of PrintExp on an older firmware from a printer. I totally wish they were interchangeable, but they're just not. All right, this is your setting tab. And generally, you're gonna have similar things in your layout as I do here. Most of the time, you're gonna have your head settings. That's basically saying how many heads of color, how many heads of white. If you have a 4-head printer, you might have 2 heads of color, 2 white. Hope that makes sense. Print speed, most of you should be using high speed, but if you have it preset already to maybe middle or low, leave it there because it can change the way the profile and the colors and how it looks. Bidirectional printing, if maybe you're in a pinch and you're having trouble with alignment, you can go just one direction. However, it slows it way down. Pre-flash, this is basically meaning that it's gonna spit just a little bit of ink out of the printhead to kind of like prime it, kind of kickstart it right before it starts to print. Then the auto cleans, if your printer is set up for auto cleans, my Prestige R2 Pro from DTF Station does have auto clean function. Mine, I have it set to just doing a week clean. Also, this is something that comes with having the auto clean function. Mine is set for 840 minutes. It comes defaulted to 4 hours. I've set mine to 14 hours because I often leave it for weeks at a time. Then we have our media setting, or yours might say margin. This is basically where the printer starts to print on the print area. And that's gonna be very different per machine. Some of your machines, your margin is gonna be set at 100, but basically it's just where it starts. So if you're printing way far over on the edge of your film, you can back it off a little bit. This is the confidence strip or wedding bar, or there's a bunch of different names for it, but basically it's that strip of CMYK colors down the side of your print area. And this is an important thing to have on because it makes sure that every nozzle fires every pass. Just think about it. If you had a giant gang sheet that was white images only and you didn't have this turned on, your CMYK printhead is just hanging out there in the wind. It's drying out as it's moving back and forth. So you wanna make sure this is turned on. Your options here are wedding, status, wedding and status, or off. I've always set to wedding. Position, it's up to you, left or right. I don't feel the need to do both, so it's either one side or the other of your print area. Strength, I've seen a lot of shops that use normal or even strong. This isn't necessary because you really just want it to spit a little bit of ink. So as opposed to wasting a bunch of ink, we're gonna do weak. Also with the width, it's not necessary to do a super wide wedding bar because again, we just want all the nozzles to fire. We don't need it to put a whole bunch of ink down. So I like to keep mine at 1 or 2 millimeters. And then distance is how far from the wedding bar do your prints actually start. I generally do 5, maybe 8 millimeters, depending on how confident I am of cutting that wedding strip or that confidence strip off. This print overlap, you might see it as eclosion depending on the version. This is DTF Station Pilot, so they actually have the ability to edit the text in here. So it's gonna say print overlap, but yours might say eclosion. I'm gonna do a video that goes way more in depth on this, but this particular function seems to be a little more tied to the environment of your room. So I'm gonna have to cover this in another video. It's a whole subject on itself. Then ink charge or load ink, this is where you do kind of the priming. When you first get started in the morning, it's better to do one of these ink charges or load inks versus doing a whole bunch of cleanings, because ultimately this is gonna pull all the ink through the printhead, maybe pull some of that thicker white through the printhead out of the dampers, that kind of thing. But basically, I do an ink charge normally when I get started for about 10 seconds, 10 to 12 seconds, and then I do a head cleaning, and then I do a nozzle check. Print settings up here, obviously normal, only color, only white. Most of the time, you guys are gonna be on normal. And then mirror print, yours might be turned to horizontal mirroring, it might not be. It just depends on how your RIP software is ripping your gang sheets. So if your RIP software isn't mirroring it, you want PrintExp to mirror it, but I have my RIP software mirror it. Lastly, we have what's called the Carriage margin settings in DTF Station Pilot. If you have Hosonsoft or PrintExp, it might say auto jump white. My understanding, now if you have a different understanding, comment below and let me know. But the auto jump white or this Carriage margin setting has to do with whether or not it goes all the way across the print area. So like, let's say you have an image that's just on the first half of the gang sheet, it's only gonna print over to that spot and then come back. It's not gonna go all the way across, meaning it's gonna technically speed up your prints just a little bit. So these are the settings that I use as a default. I use together and auto reset, yes. I hope this video helped you have a little bit better understanding of what some of those settings mean in the settings tab of PrintExp, Hosonsoft, or DTF Station Pilot. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any more of these PrintExp Explained videos. And if you learned something new or you thought a setting did something different, let us know in the comments below and let's chat about that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.